I think there can be a lot of different reasons why a woman would not like the way that she looks or want to change some things, even surgically. I can think of maybe 3 major reasons why Serena Williams and Sheree Whitfield and other women like them who've made subtle and then drastic changes to the way that they look, especially their face, that maybe can help you in your own body image or give you some information about why the beauty industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry right now. Hey, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Shareece, and this is Spirit Soul Sense, information for your soul. If you're not familiar with Serena Williams' look and how it's changed, have a look. Additionally, I saw a picture recently of Sheree Whitfield, and I was like, what in the world did she do to her face? So we'll talk about anti-Blackness, self-esteem, and also when you're in the public eye, how that might impact how you look at yourself. So let's start with anti-Blackness, and specifically when we're talking about Serena Williams, and when you reach a certain level of wealth in America, maybe in the world, I don't know. I know for America, you are surrounded by people who do not look like you. Typically, women in those spaces where it's multi-million-dollar, we're talking $50 million, $500 million net worths, are very skinny white women. They have a very certain aesthetic, and they even have their own pressures that they give to each other on what the beauty standard is. So when you're around what their ideal European beauty standard is, and there's no room, in the media, there's been pushes for inclusion, but generally speaking, there is very little room for different types of beauty to exist. And Serena Williams has a very distinct type of beauty. She is a very beautiful woman, and she's very powerful and has had a significant impact in her field of tennis. There's a long-standing history about how white people, especially white Americans, have treated Black women, particularly bodies that don't look like their ideal, very, very negatively. That standard is still here today. And if you have not unlearned anti-Blackness, which is the disdain, maybe hate for Black people and Afro features cultures, then you are going to have a hard time existing, especially if you're a Black person. Now, anybody can be anti-Black, and I actually prefer this term to racist, because if you're racist, then you have to be a part of the dominant culture. But in fact, people across the world have been touched by colonialism, which has taught us that white is right and Black is wrong. And so if you have not unlearned those ideas, those stereotypes, those negative stereotypes, you are going to internalize your anti-Blackness and find problems with yourself that don't exist because you're comparing yourself to a standard that's already unrealistic, but definitely unrealistic for you. So of course, the antidote to viewing yourself negatively based on the standards of others is to change the standard. What if you compared yourself to your ancestors that you came from, who you look like, and said, wow, this is the lineage that I come from. These are what people look like. I have my father's nose. I have my mother's forehead. These boobs come from my father's side of the family. All of that can help you instill a sense of pride in the way that you look, because it's like God didn't just make you like this. You came from somewhere. Genetics came together to make you. And there are a history of people who look like you. And so even if you can't see them, you don't have pictures of them, I want you to think about, wait, like this nose had to come from somewhere. These lips didn't just get manufactured on me. Sure, you're a combination of people, but there is likely people in your history that look just like you. And so understanding that you look like where you come from, if you don't know what those people look like, right? Because Candace Brightwood says, you're not ugly, you're just not home. Like, we don't belong. We belong wherever we want to go. But our ancestors did not originate in America. If you look at people from countries like Nigeria and Ghana, where most enslaved people were taken from, you will see you look a lot like them. Now, a lot of Black Americans actually are like 25% white. And so a lot of your features are already mixed with some of the whiteness here because of all the proliferation of rape that happened in America. But you look like people who came from before you. And when you look back at those people, or you take a trip to Ghana, like I would encourage everybody to go. I haven't gone yet, but I would encourage people to go to Ghana. I'm from St. Croix, so I see Black people all the time. Like, there's a different standard of beauty. And then we're not going to get into colorism, but there is a standard of beauty that exists based on the norms in that culture. And if you are comparing yourself to the norms, you'll see that you're really not far off and that you are, in fact, exceptionally beautiful. The next one is self-esteem. And anti-blackness can have some links to that, right? If you think you're ugly because you're not white enough, this can definitely impact your self-esteem. But self-esteem can be impacted by so many different things. So like the way you grew up, the way your mom or father or whoever talked to you, who raised you, can really impact your self-esteem. Whatever the reason for your self-esteem being low, this can impact the way you view yourself. So not every woman has body image issues, right? I would say every person, whether a man or a woman, has things about their body that they wish they could change because they're not perfect, because we're human. And you're like, I would make a tweak here, or I would just do a little thing here. Most people, right? The vast majority of people do not make significant changes to their body or do anything as drastic as surgery. But even, I talk about myself, like the body I have now has a lot to do with me eating certain foods and going to the gym. I did not like being a size 0 or 00. I didn't. Where I come from, that's not the body ideal. I want to be a little slim, thick, okay? And so how I look now is a reflection of I wanted to change my body. This is the norms I grew up with, and this is closer to the way I want to see myself. I think there is like a fine line between, there's some adjustments that I want to make to, I have done literally everything possible to change every aspect of myself. Or if you cannot change something, feeling so negatively, like you don't even want to look at yourself in the mirror, or you're thinking so much negativity about yourself that you're talking to yourself in a negative way just based on how you look. I think we can love the body we have and work for the body we want, even if you're working for money to get the body you want, right? I'm not going to say that all plastic surgery is bad plastic surgery and you should never make any changes to yourself. No, I want you to make changes that are balanced and that reflect a sense of self-love versus self-loathing or low self-esteem. And the last one is specific to being in the public eye. And I don't know if this is what like Sheree is dealing with, because I do think she has low self-esteem. I have a whole other video about her and Martell. I don't think they were in a real relationship, but the fact that she would use this very negative man to prop herself up and be more prominent in social media and media, whatever, I think is indicative of how she feels about herself and how she views herself. And so getting this much changes in surgery can be a sign of right self-esteem issues. Not necessarily, because sometimes people, like if you think of like Vivica A. Fox, I think her change in features started with, oh, I just want to touch up here. I just want to add some volume here. And then after a while, after you've looked at yourself so much because you're in the public eye, a lot of people start to hyper focus on little things. So it's not necessarily, I think I'm ugly, or, I feel so low about myself. Sometimes it can be like a blind spot. They don't really see how much changes they've made to themselves that they don't know when to stop. Like, stop getting the injections, stop getting the surgeries, because whatever your comparison is to like the last thing you did, and those are very small differences. But if you compare to a year or two ago, it's a major difference in the way that you look. And so like when you see Vivica A. Fox, how she's like overfilled, I think that's the word they use. When they talk about the fillers that are in your face, if you overfill them, then you end up looking more like a cartoon character than someone who's slightly enhanced her beauty. But constantly looking at yourself, and I've wondered if that's why I changed my teeth. I really think mostly I have these Invisalign braces on because I'm going through a life transition, and I like being able to mark differences in the way that I look, like when I started locks, when I moved to Miami, to my life, right? Just differences in the way I look, matching what's happening in my life. But I can't lie, looking at myself constantly and seeing this, I know I have a beautiful smile, but looking at myself and thinking, it wouldn't be that bad if I moved it down, right? It wouldn't, it's already like a flaw, but it's one of those flaws that I really enjoyed about myself. But when you look at yourself constantly, you're like, I guess I could move that down. I guess I would make it look better, maybe. So I can understand that maybe somebody doesn't have low self-esteem, but they look at themselves so frequently, or they're constantly having cameras on them, that they just want to present in a certain way. And it can be hard when you're constantly in the public eye and there's so many negative people who pick at you and find problems with you that you might want to make this change. None of these things make you ugly. I think even the way that Sheree looks now, she's not ugly, but she looks more like a white woman who has had too much surgery, right? Like she looks more like the Instagram baddie, when there's so many different ways to look, and that particular Instagram baddie look is very specific. And people think it's beautiful. I guess if you're on Instagram all the time, that's the toxicity you would want, because they don't even look like themselves. Like, they all change to look like Kim Kardashian when she was when she was enhancing herself in a way that made her look more ethnically black. Kim Kardashian is a whole different topic. I don't have the energy or interest in Kim Kardashian to go on and on about her. But I hope you got some insight into why so many of these celebrities are drastically changing the way that they look and are doing it in a certain way that aligns them more with whiteness. Unfortunately, if you are having some body image issues, I would encourage you to talk to a therapist or a life coach and to do some work on yourself, where you are actually embracing who you are and the people that you've come from. Let me know what you think in the comments. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. And share this video with someone you think it may help.